Welcome into the Sources Say podcast, your go-to Kentucky basketball podcast on the KSR Podcast Network. I am your host, Jack Pilgrim of Kentucky Sports Radio. Very excited to be joined not by Sean Smith, not by Spencer Smith, not by any of the Smiths, but I think you guys are going to be just happy with who we decided to call in from the bullpen. None other than EKU basketball legend and the brother of a certain current Kentucky Wildcat, Malachi Moreno. Michael Moreno joins us. What's going on, buddy?
Man, good to be here. Thanks for having me on, Jack.
Well, we got a lot to talk about. It was a very, very fun weekend in Catlanta. Man, I think a lot of crow that I need to eat personally, and I think that you're probably a good person to bring on and maybe dish some of it up for me to let me kind of chew on it and you know, kind of take my licks. Rick Pitino gave me a nice little talking to, and you know, but let's just add it to the list. But man, what a weekend it was! 78-66 victory for the Kentucky Wildcats over Rick Pitino in the St. John's Red Storm. A first win against ranked competition for Kentucky. Second straight name brand victory for Kentucky, but real momentum, Mike, going into Bellarmine tomorrow, going into the Christmas holiday, and more importantly, I think mostly a 10-day break once we get post Bellarmine to, you know, prepare for SEC play. How are you feeling a couple days removed from that big time matchup?
Honestly, optimistic. I think it's I mean, obviously, I watch all the games with a biased lens at times, but objectively speaking, I think we're in a really, really good spot right now because being a player myself, I have been a part of those post-Christmas practices when you lose or when you have a lot that you need to really work on. So it's much easier to be on the right side of a victory rather than the wrong side going into that Christmas break because this is where the real money, the real mojo has to be, you know, hitting stride. And I think with the Cats having that full strength roster right now, having some good film to break down, I think it's going to be tremendous confidence booster for them going into conference. And then Bellarmine, you know, it's a different opponent. This is one of those trap games right before Christmas that everybody always tries to avoid or tries to acknowledge to, I don't know, to get people's minds right, get people's minds psyched out, whatever it may be. But I feel pretty good, man. I think that we have a lot of momentum, a lot of good film, a lot of good opportunity ahead of us.
So to talk about the now and the fun of today, we have to talk about the rock bottom that we hit just 2 weeks ago to kind of create the feel goodness of all of this, where you lose your first four straight name brand matchups, and you're getting progressively worse with all of them to the point where it's like an all-out embarrassment down in Nashville in front of the most passionate segment of this fan base you've seen, you know, the SEC tournament crowds, and just how the Big Blue Mist comes in so strong and so real down there at Bridgestone Arena, and then Kentucky just falls flat in an absolute no-show down there against Gonzaga, 35-point loss, leading to me personally thinking that this team was cooked. Like, just, I don't know, even understanding the injury concerns, it just felt like they were so behind in so many areas that it would just be really, really tough to salvage this. And to this team's credit, they figure things out, even in an ugly fashion against Indiana, where the offense is still a pretty firm disaster, but you find a way to win in the mud. And then you follow that up with just an unbelievable second half performance against St. John's, where, you know, you're taking on a team that, you know, we saw Pope kind of crumble in the emotional stakes of the John Calipari return to Rupp Arena last year. You know, kind of the emotional coaching battle. This one's even to a whole different planet with that. I mean, that's the dude that he holds up on a pedestal, unlike anybody else in Rick Pitino. I thought the game plan was good. I thought the execution was even better. And man, just an unbelievable second half effort against a very, very tough St. John's team.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think St. John's was like the final test for us to realize if we were going to either turn it around or not. And looking at the group that we put out there, it was the first time we'd ever seen that group in live action together. So when you look at, you know, formerly what we had going on, when we had let's break it down. Let's go Louisville, obviously Carolina, Gonzaga, I mean, all three of those different outcomes, different results. And it kind of
Michigan State as well, which that was kind of a mixed bag of all of it.
exactly. So you look at those four, they were all different losses for different reasons. We felt like we had a little bit of hope at Louisville, coming back in the fashion that we did, keeping it close. Michigan State, we got out tough. So then we get another segment, just like Louisville with Carolina, in our own building where Carolina plays well enough to win the game clearly, but not well enough to win if Kentucky's playing like they're supposed to be. And then to St. John's, a team who's known for being super, super tough. That's like another opportunity to build on what we were bad at with Michigan State. Indiana was great early. We came back just like in Louisville, but we were able to really turn the tide. And I think we started to realize that offensively, we may not be as gifted as the team we had last year, just because look at the skill, guys, comparison side by side. Like there was a bunch of specialists last year. That's where guys this year are used to being able to do more, on the teams that they've been on respectively. I think we've created a group that is like so used to putting a lot of pressure on themselves and a lot of, weight on their shoulders because it's like, and it's always been how I've played. It's always been how I've seen the game is through a lens of having pressure on myself. So I think it's interesting to see that like identity shift, not only in the players but in the coaching staff as well. I think that the coaching staff is starting to really, really embrace kind of having to win in the mud, having to scrap some of the philosophy of, and how are we going to be offensively better than every team that we face. Like you may never outshoot a team in the SEC play on the road, but we still are expected to get wins because we have, honestly, with the addition of JQ, maybe a hot take. I think it's the best front court in the league, and the deepest front court in the league. I think you kind of have to hang your hat on what they're going to anchor on both ends of the floor. So I don't know. I think it was a tale of two stories, November and December. Obviously, at the beginning of December, we can just throw that into November with Gonzaga, but it was like a tale of two stories. November, we were figuring it out. December, we kind of figured it out. And I think we fought it right there at the beginning of what we needed to be. And so I think Kentucky's starting to figure out the identity that they've had to evolve into, knowing what we've been in the past, knowing what we need to be now, knowing the personnel we have. I think we're starting to use that and play it to our strengths.
So Pope kind of pushed back. I totally agree, but Pope kind of pushed back on that several times, even again tonight on his radio show, that he wants this team to still be an electric, high scoring, get shots up, high volume, high efficiency team, while acknowledging that, like, hey, we're not there yet. It's going to be a work in progress to get to that point. But until then, we got to find ways to win. And this right now is the only way to win. Is that, as a former player yourself, is that just coach speak in the sense of like, do the players in that locker room right now go, we have no shooters, we got to win this way through March? Or is there real confidence? And I asked Jaden about this today as well. During his media, he kind of stood on business as well and said, no, we believe in it, but that we can still be a high level scoring and shooting team. We see it in practice. Now it just has to translate to the games. But is that a real feeling as a player, or is that just kind of the media trained? Have you been in a position like this where nothing seems to be going right offensively, and you kind of have to find a way elsewhere?
I think it's always personnel based. I played on some really good teams when I was at Eastern, and we had the personnel both times. My last 2 years we had the player of the year in the conference. He was a 6'8" center. We played through him. We played a lot of post up ball. We played a lot of bully ball, but we still had a really good shooting team. But I think it's because we identified that, like, okay, where can we separate ourselves? My late high school coach Billy Hicks was so adamant about identifying what we had that teams didn't. And in my last years at Scott County, he always made it a point to say, look, guys, look around the room. What do we have that nobody else has? And if you sit in Kentucky's locker room, nobody else has a Jaden Queens. Nobody else has a Malachi Marino. Nobody else has a Brandon Garrison. 3 7-footers essentially who all play very different, but can add so much value to these teams, on both ends of the floor. Truth be told. So, I think there is a window for an explosive offense. And I think part of that is understanding we got to put a lot of pressure on the paint, a lot of pressure on the rim. And we got almost a 50% of our misses, 50% offensive rebound percentage last game. So, I mean, we're getting them up. We were 4 for 16, I think, from three, something like that. It was, it was, a very underwhelming percentage wise. But
Not the prettiest thing in the world. Yeah, yeah.
when you're offensive rebounding at that rate, it's like, okay, well, we need to shoot them because that's our identity. But at the same time, it doesn't hurt that we have so much aggression when it comes to getting on the glass on both ends that your offense is going to eventually, like, this is a rich person's problem, as Pope said, early in the year, like the depth that we have. Well, the fact that we have such great offensive rebound, I think it's also a good problem to have because we're going to get them up, and eventually there's going to come a day where we go 13 for 30. There's going to come a day where we go 9 for 21 from three. Like, it's going to click, and it's going to be, well, we still shot 55% from the field, beat a team 20 in SEC play because we were tougher, but we knocked down shots. Like, I would be scared as an opposing team, as an opposing coaching staff, because I just have to worry about my team being able to clear the defensive glass. Because if we don't do that, look at the way Florida beat teams last year. Obviously they had Walter Clayton, they had Elijah Martin, they had Will Richard, they had Denzel Aberdeen, they had, a very formidable backcourt, but gosh, they were elite on the offensive glass. And I think that is what we can, attain to be. Like, I think we can be that. I think we have the skill to do that. I think we have the potential explosion to do that with our, our leaders and our full team being out there.
Does this come down to me personally just being stupid about the team was missing Jaden Quaintance and Jalen Lowe, two of your three best players? Them coming back allows Otega Oweh to be himself and unlock the best version of him, and now the team is totally transformed? Or is there a happy medium there where there was still something to be said about the effort and the want to and the things that me as a fan, I didn't love watching in that Gonzaga game, while also just kind of acknowledging that, like, it's impossible for this team to be kind of the dreams of Final Four and returning to Indianapolis and all that we had without Jalen on the floor, without Jaden on the floor, without Otega having that star talent around him.
I mean, I think we have a very, very smart staff. I mean, no matter how you feel, whoever you talk to, no matter how they feel, I think one thing that can be agreed upon is we have a very smart group of coaches, that work every day to build what we have going on. And I think this was just a massive puzzle. And you look at, we had a giant piece missing in the form of a 6'11", 250-pound lottery pick. I mean, a giant piece missing in a all ACC transfer guard. Like, we had two big pieces out of our puzzle missing. And I mean, for anybody who's ever put together a puzzle in their life, when that center piece or one of those cornerstone pieces is gone, gosh, it's frustrating when you can't find it because it just makes the puzzle look awful. It's not complete, So that being said, I think having JQ, having Jalen, and people being able to settle into their expected roles coming into the year, I think it allows everybody to kind of breathe for a second and say, maybe this is going to work. Maybe I can finally get back to being myself again. It's like somebody calls in sick at work. You have to find a way to pick up the slack. You may not be as good at that job as them. You may not be as good at, taking on multiple responsibilities as they would. But when an entire unit is all together, cohesive, I don't see why we obviously spent quite a bit of money on this roster. I don't see why we couldn't make it that far because teams still have to beat us. I know about the whole week 6 AP poll. I know about the whole, resume. I know all the stories, all the, myths, whatever it may be. I think we're still Kentucky and we still have the pieces to be able to go as far as we want to go. And obviously you saw a double-digit win. The score indicated that it was closer than it actually looked. But teams still have to beat us. And like I said, we can still come out and shoot the ball. We can still be a 40% shooting team from three. Or we can just get 17 offensive rebounds a game and see what happens. We can beat you in so many different ways. I think it's tricky. We're not an easy scout anymore.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth to that. There's also a lot of truth to our friends at Parlor Pizza being the absolute goats of the pizza business. Make Parlor your game day destination. From award-winning pizzas like the Doctor or fan favorite hot honey pepperoni to Parlor's famous house smoked wings and extensive craft beer selection, Parlor has a menu that will please the whole family. Their location on Harrodsburg Road is just a short drive from Rupp Arena. Don't miss out on their great happy hour coming Monday through Friday from 2 to 6 p.m. to enjoy discounted pints, cocktails, and starters. Plus, Wednesday is Wing Wednesday with 10 Parlor's famous smoke wings for $10 all day. Parlor's just been around Lexington for 1 year, but they're no stranger to the national pizza scene. In fact, I've been to several of them here locally in Louisville and Southern Indiana. I love them both. Both of those locations are terrific. But whether you're sipping a handcrafted cocktail or sharing one of our signature pizzas, Parlor is a place where great food and good times come together naturally. Shout out to our friends at Parlor Pizza. I will say the winning these two games in the fashion that they did, with Jalen coming back in the second half after just that, I felt sick for him, man. That first half, he's in for 7 seconds, he's out, and you just the room just deflates. You're like, well, there goes the season. And when he comes back and is the player that we thought he was going to be the entire time, the guy we heard about all summer long about kind of being a 1A, 1B star next to Otega Oweh, he is exactly as advertised, hitting big shots, bringing the passion and just moving the ball and the pace and all of those things. He was just absolutely tremendous. Jaden, being who he is an absolute freak of nature. Your brother setting the tone to start the game, blocking shots, and just so much love. Missing layups. He did do that in pretty egregious fashion, but we love you, Malachi. But you winning in the fashion that they did, you gave yourself the benefit of the doubt to say that all of this was just injury. It was all injuries. We can move totally past the first chapter of this season. That wasn't the real us. Whether we can question the energy, we can question shot selection, all the things, but this team put themselves in position to salvage all that and say, yeah, well, we don't even know what that team, what that group was. That team was, long in the rearview mirror. Now we're the real version of us, and we can use this break to regroup, hit reset, and say, hey, let's be more like that second half against Indiana. Let's be more like that second half against St. John's. That's our new identity with the full landscape. And there's a level of confidence, right? Like when Jaden's out there and you can play through him, and the spark plays and the energy and the hustle, Mo being in the crowd and kind of lifting the fans up, and the way he did against Indiana and St. John's, like you can start seeing that vision come together and go, oh, well, that's it. That's all we ever needed to see. So they gave themselves a chance to rewrite the script entirely, and I think that's a pretty beautiful thing going into Alabama, especially.
Yeah, agree. I think when you look at the group we have, like, it took just that little bit of success. It's like some people, they get that first bucket, like example, go back to St. John's. Malachi blocks that first shot. You watch the broadcast and he's talking to the front row people, the third row people, telling them, hey, give me the ball back. Like, this is my house. Like, he's getting into it. Sometimes it takes that one little play or that one little moment for us to have that confidence that we can exude to be able to be who we are. I mean, you look at Cam Williams. Cam Williams was great the other day. Cam Williams wasn't the guy who was elite defensively that we've seen, that we've had to hang our hat on. Like, he hit big shots. He scored the ball, and he was elite defensively. We had 7 blocks as a team protecting the rim, but it's not just JQ that did that. Mo had 2 blocks. Malachi had 2 blocks. Garrison had a block. Like, we've got guys who are contributing all across, and it's a simple fact that I get to play with a lottery pick. I get to play with our point guard. We get to be complete again. We're whole again. Like, my boys are out here. It's time to go. There's something to be said about just being able to have your entire reinforcement behind you, rather than, we may be a little bit light on the left flank. We may be a little bit light in the anchor. Like, it's something to be said about that. And 2, I mean, let's call a spade a spade. We haven't even put 2 halves together yet, and we're still winning these games by double digits. There's still a lot of room for growth. There's still a lot of room for opportunity to say, what do we look like after 40 minutes?
So tonight, Mark Pope talked about the Jalen Lowe just dynamic. He's an amazing talent when he's available, but he has not been available. It's kind of a, is it reliable? Is it sustainable? There was some speculation about the possibility of bringing in a mid-year addition transfer, overseas Euro guy, somebody to just kind of be like, hey, we need insurance. We need an insurance policy in case our preseason all SEC point guard goes down. You as a former player in knowing the dynamic of a locker room at this level, what does that do to a team to add a new variable into the mix? Do you support that idea? Do you push back on that idea? Do you think, as Mark Pope said tonight, he said, we're not shopping right now? So that some fans are focusing on the right now part of that. Some fans are focusing on the we're not shopping part of that. So it depends on which side of the aisle you look at. But in general, he said, we like the roster we have. We like the pieces that we have. We like Jasper. We like Denzel. We think that the guys that we have, even behind Jalen in a worst case scenario kind of deal, we believe in them to hold strong. How would you as a team, as a player in that locker room, how would you kind of take something like that with a potential new variable being added?
So guys moved in June. It's almost Christmas. So we're talking 6.5 months of real work that these dudes have put in. I take it. It makes me think, you talking about it in that sense. One of my favorite movies, Miracle, the hockey movie. They're getting right, weeks out from the Olympics, and the guys are standing off the bus. They want to talk to Coach Brooks and tell him, hey, this new guy you've added, like, he's not been here working with us. Like, he's not been here grinding with us. He may really be able to help us, but he hasn't been here. Like, we're a family. We've put so much time in together, good and bad. We've taken all the bad film sessions. We've taken all the conditioning and we've taken it together. And, there's something to be said about putting that confidence in your team and teammates. So as players, I think this is a point in time where you discuss that with your coach. If he really is shopping, like, yeah, you probably deserve to know at this point. Now, if you don't deserve to know what he's recruiting for next season, you don't deserve to know if it's July 1st and he's trying to bring on a late portal guy. But at this point, I think it's something that you have to breathe that confidence into your guys as a coach and as a teammate. You have to breathe that confidence and say, look, like, the group we got, I like my team. I mean, something that we got tired of hearing for 15 years is I like my team. I like my team. In early November, we'll be fine. I like my team. Like, all of a sudden now we've had, point guard mishaps because of injury. And it's like, now we're hearing it again. I like my team. And truth be told, think about how much we loved this team before they put a product out on the floor. All the summer videos we saw, all the highlight films we saw coming into the season. Like, as a fan, I like this team. As a sibling of a player, I like this team. And just objectively speaking, I think they have every single base covered. I just think it's about guys stepping up and saying, yeah, I'm that too. Like, Jalen Lowe creates a lot for us. But if he's 0 for 5 one day and he's in foul trouble, somebody's got to do it. That can be me. I think any guard on the roster should think that in their mind. I think, JQ gets in foul trouble. I think any big on our roster should look and say, I'm that too. You have to feel like you're that, while also identifying and admiring the fact that these dudes are unique individuals. Like, there's only one preseason SEC player of the year, but who's to say we can't all 13 to 15 play like that or have that mindset? Like, I'm that too. I think that's kind of the mindset shift that I would like to see some of the guys, just realizing that I do what it takes to win. I'm valued. I'm important. I'm a piece of this puzzle.
I think I agree. I would not personally add if I were Mark Pope right now. I would not. Mostly because I just don't think the talent pool is good enough right now, or else they would already be on a roster playing college basketball or in the NBA as a draft pick. Like, I think the pool is very, very limited as is. Don't even want to hear about the G League guys that are I just don't think that there's real talent there. I just don't think the juice is worth the squeeze there, especially knowing the dynamic of what it would mean to a locker room and adding that, as you said, that variable of, like, this dude's going to walk in after was not in the trenches with us at any of these points. He didn't go to rock bottom with us. He comes in thinking it's sweet, and he gets to live with he gets to be part of the reward of not, the satisfaction of not even.
Well, he's not adding to play. He's not adding a guy to sit. It's hard to get a good player that's a just in case player. There's a chance that if you add, he's told, hey, you have to be ready at all times because we're going to need you. Well, that moment comes. Are you turning to him or are you turning to me? Like I was here for 6.5 months. Am I just not cutting it? Is it like, what's the deal? And that's, as a player, anytime that I had a new guy come into the fold, even if it was in June, I'm still like, I'm that too. Like I can be that. Like, man, put more pressure on me. Like, we don't need to add another. Like, I want to play. That's just the mindset of an 18 to 22-year-old. Like, everybody wants to play. Everybody wants to be a part of something, but they want to be responsible for it at the same time. It's not as fun winning a ring if you're the 13th guy, at 18. But when you're 30, it's going to sound really good because it's like, this is mine, So.
Mm-hmm. If I were Pope, and again, that means absolutely nothing because he gets paid the big bucks for a reason and I don't for a reason. If I were in his shoes, I would push my chips in on the next 2 weeks, bringing Jasper Johnson to school and saying, we are grooming you to be the point guard in a break in case of emergency situation with Jalen going down. Pope's clarified tonight and said that he believes that Jalen, his health is in a position where he will be able to be available all season long. I think fans will love every single bit of that and then some if that's the case. And I would love to see, a full season of J-Lowe. It's already been too long without him. I would love to see a full SEC schedule with Jalen and the team coming together. And I do believe that could be a team. But I also don't want Pope to just push all of his chips in on Lowe and build everything around him, assuming that to be the case without having a realistic in-house backup plan, break in case of emergency plan. And I don't at this time think that Denzel Aberdeen is that guy. I think that he has a role, but I think it's more as an off-ball kind of slasher, cutter, downhill finisher off ball than as a creator on ball. And I think Jasper has that potential. It's not there yet, but I think he has the tools to be that guy, and it only helps him long term, even whether it's this year or next, for Pope to prepare him for that possibility. I would use these next couple of weeks, whatever the equivalent of Camp Cal was for Pope around the holidays, and just say, hey Jasper, we're leaning into you. We got to get you right. We got to get you prepared just in case, and hope for the best with Jalen being healthy.
And I just think he has so much ability on or off the ball. I mean, you watch him; he looks comfortable with the ball in his hands. It seems unorthodox, like. He seems like he's getting pressured. He seems like he's having trouble, but he's always been skinny and lanky his whole life. He's always played sort of that loose style, sort of that D-Lo style. He was highly ranked and highly touted for a reason. I mean, I think we all know that he's got just an innate ability to score and an innate ability to make plays. It's just him being comfortable in his setting. Like I've watched Jasper since he was a little kid, and just the evolution of him. I mean, he took a massive jump from his sophomore to junior year when he went to Link because he's playing against guys that are, I mean, Trey Johnson's in the NBA, LeBaron Filon's all SEC. I mean, Curtis Givens is at Mizzou. I mean, like he's got dudes that he's going against every day. And I think this could be the same thing. I think Pope just has to allow these guys not only to challenge themselves, but encourage them to challenge one another, in the sense like, dreaming big is important, but also having higher aspirations for the guy next to you is very important too. Like I think everybody has identified they want to go to the NBA on this roster. I think that's the end goal. I don't think there's anybody really in the locker room who's like, I'm good. Like I'll go play in China for 6 years. Like I'll go get a regular day job when I'm done at Kentucky. Like everybody has higher aspirations. They all want to go to the league. So I think you got to allow these dudes to really push each other in individual improvement and in a team aspect to say, look, like, guys, I can't help this team if I'm not at my best. What gets me to my best is being pushed every day. And there's a lot of guys that are going to come out and say that. There's some guys who need somebody to tell them. And then there's some guys that no matter how hard you try, you have to drag it out of them every single day. There's not going to be a switch that they can flip. So it's just identifying that, and then as a unit embracing them, as a unit helping everybody elevate and rise, because this time of year is crucial to stay in shape, to learn, to stay healthy. I mean, all things considered, like we have so much time. I mean, tomorrow's the 23rd. We don't play till the 3rd. Guys are going to get 3 days for Christmas, be back the 26th night, maybe the 27th, and they're going to get after it for a week because the SEC plays a big deal. We still have time to control the narrative. I know losing those 4 name brand games early, they sounded awful. I going into the year, I thought it was a great thing because whether you go 6-0, 0-6, or something in between, you're going to learn so much, and it's going to build so much value later on when the games matter. When you get an SEC play, now you're seeing teams who are built like you, who are built to beat you. What are you going to do? Like, a lot of times the game plan goes out the window. Florida won the national championship last year. We beat them in Rupp. Tennessee beat them. Tennessee was number 1 in the country. Florida beat them 30 at Florida. Alabama, Florida looks like a Final Four contest in SEC play. I mean, you look at guys like this, like sometimes the ball is just bouncing both ways, and you just see who gets the most punches in at the end. And I think the SEC that's what that is. That's what conference play is. So I think, honestly, you just have to find guys who are willing to be the best version of themselves and willing to push themselves every day to continue to evolve and elevate, just because you don't really want to peak at this moment, but you want to continue to stack days and stack days and stack days, because at some point they're all 11, 12, 13 to 15. All of those guys are going to be needed to win a ball game, whether it's in the Kraft Center or whether it's in the second half in Rupp, or whether it's on the road at Tennessee, or whether it's on the road at Vandy. It doesn't matter. There's going to be a time where all these guys are needed, and they need to be able to step up because they prepared themselves properly.
You talk about stacking days. What do you do with Jalen tomorrow against Bellarmine, knowing, Pope kind of joked afterward that Jalen's been kind of pushing behind the scenes, saying, let me be a game player. Don't even put me in harm's way in practice. Just let me ball out for potentially 40 games for us, and don't make me go into practice and potentially hurt myself. Obviously he's being, that's not a reality, but you get what he's saying in the sense of, if you have a game like Bellarmine, knowing that he's kind of hanging on by a thread, do you put him in unnecessarily in harm's way, knowing that you have enough dudes elsewhere without him, while also knowing that there's a lot of value in stacking days with availability, and you need to know what a Jalen Lowe and Jaden Quaintance lineup looks like, and building on Cam Williams, momentum, and what Malachi's doing, and what Mo getting into the weeds after being out for so long. How do you handle kind of the push and pull of the kind of the touch and go-iness of an injury of his nature?
As you said, we don't get paid the big bucks for a good reason to make these decisions, but it's okay to have an opinion. So my opinion is he's on an as-needed basis. Bellarmine may come in tomorrow and shoot 65% from 3, after they passed it 27 times to get a cut down the middle to kick it out for a 3. I guarded it my almost whole career at Eastern. It's tough. It's an unorthodox look. It's something that they won't see again, but I think it's on an as-needed basis. And I think games like this are opportunities for both teams to learn about one another. Obviously, Bellarmine's coming in, not much to lose. Kentucky's coming in, all this momentum to lose. I think it's an as-needed thing. I think you put yourself in position to be on an as-needed basis. But I don't think you throw them in there just to say, for the sake of continuity, just because we have such a gap between now and the next game. We want to see those lineups. We want to see dudes get to play with, with a different group around them, a different feel, get it. I mean, you only get so many games at Rupp Arena. But that being said, I don't think Bellarmine, we're not going to win the SEC tomorrow. I think it's just another step towards winning the SEC, but there's a lot of steps to get there. So, I mean, you see how Jalen feels. You put him through a workout. If he's, you dress him, he's available but it's on an as needed basis, and that's okay. And I think you give yourself an opportunity to use him if you feel, because Pope at the end of the day is still the coach. I mean, if he feels he needs to use him, and live with the result. Just like Jalen said, I'm gonna get out there and I'm gonna live with it. You know, you can't play scared, you can't play cautious, because then you're playing not to lose. Then you're playing not to hurt yourself or not to get to a disadvantage. Go out there fearless and continue to be that way and see what happens. So I would say opinion, on me, as needed basis, but Bellarmine is not necessarily somebody that's going to move the needle for you in the immediate sense.
I am all in on this comment. Give Jasper 25 minutes. Start him. Like, go see what you have. Like, right now is the time to just say, all right, can he be the guy? Can you? We have seen him. The game we just saw where he led the team in scoring, NC Central. Like, we've seen him thrive in an kind of microwave scoring role, but like, can he be the guy? Can he be a in case of emergency point guard option? This is the right time to test that out. We've seen Denzel do it over and over and over again against that level of competition. We don't need to see that again. Maybe it's more beneficial to see him play in an off-ball role alongside a Jasper to see if that's a feasible option. So that's what I would do. I wouldn't even think twice about it. I would not play. Will come across as soft. I know fans will say if you're available, you need to play. No day is promised. I get it. I totally understand it. But tomorrow is definitely not promised if Jalen goes down and we don't have a backup option. So
you can't make everybody happy.
Yeah.
But I think what you do is you make Jalen Lowe happy. You make Jalen Lowe's family happy. You make your program happy by doing what makes the most sense for you. And if you feel like playing Jalen is, good for 25 minutes, so be it. And then you live with it. Like, that's how life works, is you make a decision, you live with it. So whatever makes the program happy, what makes Jalen and his family happy, what makes the coaching staff happy, that's what you do. Because ultimately, like I've told you, Jack, before, keeping the noise inside the building is the best thing to do, because you're ultimately doing this for a long-term goal, long-term sustained success. That's what you want. And so if tomorrow means everything to you, which it is the biggest game of the year because it's the next game, you still have to put into perspective the long game and say, is it possible for us to limit Jalen just a little bit to see how these other pieces can fit in case of emergency? I mean, heck, before, if it was a healthy JQ coming into Kentucky, Malachi wouldn't have had the opportunity that he had, to start the year. If it was a healthy J-Lowe going into the first game, we might not have seen as much Denzel Aberdeen, action scoring the ball early. I mean, he kept us in the game at Louisville. He kept us in the game at Michigan State. We wouldn't see that because he would be required to play less on the ball. So I think there's been pockets where guys have been able to get some opportunity and much needed development because of this. Like, everything has happened for a reason, and you never want it to happen in a negative sense. But guys have been able to step up and learn about themselves, and the staff has been able to learn about themselves. So I think it's been beneficial either way. But like you said, tomorrow, that comment, I think I'm all in as well. I think getting Jasper as much time as you can to develop or just trying new looks at point guard. I mean, he's your next viable option, in my opinion. We're just trying new looks, maybe trying to see how you incorporate more, JQ feature ball. Maybe you play him the same 17 minutes, but you feature him all 17. It's like, we're going to try to get him a touch every single time down the floor.
I'm interested in that one. Can I sign up for that one?
Yeah, but like, that's, you have to find ways to incorporate new looks against the team, in Bellarmine, who's coming in right before Christmas. Is tricky, but a team that you feel confident enough to say, okay, we can, kind of tweak and toy around just to see where it takes us. Because at the end of the day, you have the roster to beat anybody, and anybody includes Bellarmine. So,
yeah, that's fair. This comment, by the way, I just want to point this out. The dude's Ricky Mo suspended for 1 game for technicals. This was wrong. I'm stupid. He's not suspended. Blame Keith Farmer. And Keith, if you hear this, I'm blaming you. I know, Mike, you know Keith well.
Oh yeah.
to explain myself because I was the moron on the rapid reaction after St. John's that said that. But we were sitting at the media room after St. John's talking about it, like, well, is there any rule with the two? You know, I know like a fight ejection leads to, you know, potential suspension, but like what does just a second tech mean? And Keith was looking on his phone, was reading through, and found some rule that said that if you get 2 technical fouls, you are suspended for a full game the next time out. And as he said that, I was like, that doesn't sound right, but I don't know. He's reading something that sounds official, so I guess we're gonna go with Keith. Keith's a pro. I'm not gonna doubt my man. And we immediately went live right after that. I literally, as soon as he said that, I grabbed my stuff. We went upstairs and went live. And I said that stupid thing on the air in front of, and there's 30,000 people that watched it on the last one, and I was wrong. I was stupid. Ignore me. So
Okay, Jack.
Mo is not suspended tomorrow. That's my fault. I'm sorry.
Okay, I think at this point, people understand that you're a very knowledgeable, very resourceful guy. I think they trust your judgment. So I think as quickly as you said that, they believed it. They'll believe it now that you're recanting on the statement. So I think it'll be okay.
Yeah. This one I am sure of. According to our friends at BetMGM, Kentucky is a 35.5 point favorite against Bellarmine tomorrow, with the point total for Kentucky set at 94.5, Mike. So that is definitely something to keep an eye on. If you haven't signed up with our friends at BetMGM yet, use bonus code ON3 and you will get up to $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code ON3. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use bonus code ON3 when you sign up. Make this college basketball season 1 for the history books. Make it legendary with our friends at BetMGM. Mike, 35.5 points. Do you like it? Do you not? And I'm kind of more interested in the 94.5 total points for Kentucky. I think that's going to be fascinating, knowing the kind of the offensive struggles this team's going through, but acknowledging what we saw in the second half, that this team is capable of putting points on the board at full strength.
I think it just goes to show that we have, our success rate in games like this and by games. I think we've put ourselves in position to warrant getting that amount of love. Obviously, I think in Rupp, we score the ball really well. We're comfortable. I think even though with the Carolina blemish, I still think we've been able to be comfortable in Rupp for the most part. And 2, this is a big game, day before, Christmas break. Like, guys are going to be humming. We got to play in this game at Purdue at Alabama right before Christmas. Some guys are excited to get out. Some guys are saying, look, this is the right time to set the tone, to establish, we are who we are. This isn't a fluke. I think all things considered, Kentucky is going to have their way tomorrow, just because size-wise, length-wise, paint presence. I just think Bellarmine's never really been a big team. They compete like hell, but they've never been, a formidable foe on the interior. When we played them, dating back to then, it was a lot of times perimeter breakdowns that caused the bigs to be super impactful. That being said, Karasinski, Brian Waddle, they can really shoot the ball. They can really score the ball. So I think it's a great test. I think the people in Vegas always know what they're doing. I wish I could comment more and speculate, but a little too close to the situation for it. So just giving my insight there.
I enjoy your political correctness with this. I'm fast. Like I struggle with it, not knowing what they do with Jalen, not knowing what they do. Like, do we wake up tomorrow and Pope says, we're resting JQ. We saw enough. We want to give him an extra 14 days of rest before Alabama. I would totally understand if that's where Pope was coming from, especially with Lowe, knowing, would you, I don't want to say load manage, it comes across as soft, but with Jalen, it's obvious he's touch and go. You got to protect him. But how would you approach Jaden? Like, I think he's kind of in a different, he's built in a factory, like God-given ability and body and all of the above. but there's still a factor of he did come back, and he confirmed with me today that it was a torn meniscus, a torn ACL, and a fracture in his knee that he came back from in 9 months and 1 day. So that's some real stuff. Like, I mean, he came back very, very quickly. Again, he is built like Hercules, but do you load manage him in the meantime, understanding the level of competition?
So, as compared to J-Lowe, like J-Lowe had a shoulder issue. He could still get on a bike or a treadmill and get some work in. Like JQ's playing on a new wheel, they fixed it, they repaired it, they got him right. Conditioning is a little bit more fresh on his end. He's got to get that conditioning back together. So I think game reps are important. The only way I ever learned to get in game shape was by playing the game. I could run all preseason. I could practice for 3 hours a day. I'm great. I'm still going to be exhausted by the first media. It always happens that way at the early part of the year. I think game reps matter right now for him. And I think, that's one of those things we can sit here and speculate all we want, but you live with the results. JQ is built in a factory. JQ has also played basketball his whole life. He plays hard. I mean, so hard. And he competes. He runs so well. He was stride and stride with the ball handler, running back on defense, trying to stay on his hip. I mean, he's throwing dudes, basically swim moving off of him. Look like Reggie White out there trying to get a rebound, dunking the ball back. I mean, he's just a freak. Like, I love him because he wants to play so bad. So I think you can't limit a kid that wants to play so bad. And two, knowing that he needs to get his conditioning right. Like, you could make him go touch the top of rep 10 times and shoot around tomorrow and say, all right, buddy, this is a surprise, but we're going to sit you. Like, do your best. Like, I don't think you can do that to a kid and keep him confident in the momentum that he's building, in the recovery. I think you give a kid like that some game reps, see where his conditioning's at, you monitor it. I mean, heck, if he plays 6 minutes in the, first 13, he ends up playing 11 minutes in the first half, and you guys are up 27 at half, there's another one where you go as needed basis. Like, let's get him in. If we want to get a look at something, let's get a Spain action back screen with him. Let's get a butt screen. Let's get a duck in with him. Let's see what he looks like in the dunker spot, just coming off of a dribble drive. Like, let's see it. Let's see if he can run our sets.
Let's see him let it fly. Let's see him. Let's see him fire. If Malachi's launching threes, JQ's gonna launch a couple threes.
Yeah, let's see him in the trail. Like, this is a game where you see different looks. You give yourself that cushion, and then you say, all right, what look can I get out of this? Can we work on something? Can we see something? Because you can only see it in game scenario. You do it in a controlled scrimmage. Only problem is in practice that all the defenders also know the play. So you're just going to make the read based on what they want to give you. If they don't want to cheat it, as to where against Bellarmine, they're scouting you, but why not give it a look? You don't want to give Alabama or Missouri or Mississippi State or Florida or Tennessee. You don't want to give them any material, but you have to find ways to work on it to see how it looks in real time. So I don't know. I think you use it as needed. If you feel comfortable enough putting new sets in, or if you feel comfortable getting a look at something, go with it. That would be what I would do, just because this is an opportunity to where we probably can execute a little better because we have such an advantage in size. We have the athletes for it, and we're at home. Like, I think it's the time to try a new look if that's what you're looking for. Now, if not, you're just trying to get him conditioning, press a little bit, get him running, then see, like, find ways to get him conditioned and limit his minutes. It makes everybody happy in that point, maybe except JQ. But
yeah,
that's just, there's so many different ways to go about it. I think I would use him as needed. I would get him some conditioning reps. I would get him some game reps, and I would say, JQ, you did your part. Let's go enjoy Christmas.
Just want to clarify something with Peppa Pin. I'm busting Mike's ass in ones if this were to unfold. So let's just make sure that this is known out there in the ether that not
Peppa Pin knows. Peppa Pin knows. Jack, I'm actually pretty talented in the ones, just so you know. I'm a tough cover. I'm a
There
really
was
tough
a
backer.
actually Peppa's real question initially. How do ones go with Mally, and what was the first time that he ever beat you? If he has
We're
beaten you,
still still
I
waiting.
know, yeah, no, I know he's gotten you several times, but when was
Okay.
the first time, and how does it typically go?
I'll give a true breakdown, okay? Going into his sophomore year, he was about 6'10". We started playing post up ones. I'm in street clothes, he's in his game clothes, and we're at a camp down in Atlanta. And so that's the first time I realized, like, okay, he can really score on me. He's about 190 pounds. Like, his jump hook's okay. He's really long. Like, okay, he's starting to get it. So if he wants to consider that a win, I'll allow it. But in straight up one on one, he can't beat me because I'm such a perimeter threat. I just have to play with tempo and give him a shot fake, get him to jump just a little bit. Then once I deck it, it's like he's got to chase me a little bit. And I'm still big enough. It's hard for me to score at the rim. I don't got the explosion I used to, but I'm still big enough that I can get into his body and make something happen for myself. That being said, I said it on KSR back in 24. Like, this is like the 18-month mark. Like I said, he was 18 months from being better than I ever was. That being said, I don't think he can beat me one-on-one because I just don't think that's in his game yet. And I'll take that. We're about to the point, though, in life where I'm done playing against him, so I can just continue to be a winner, and I can hold that out forever. Like, we're about to that point.
Is he better than you ever were right now, 18 months later?
Yes, because you're looking at the guys he's going against. You're looking in real time at his development. Like, looking at him against Michigan State or against Louisville early in the year, and then looking at him against St. John's. I mean, a massive change. He's learning to compete harder. He's learning to stand his ground. His timing's getting a little better blocking shots. He's starting to be more of an anchor rather than just a big body standing down there. I think for him, I think he embodies his role as good as I ever did at Eastern. Like, my role at Eastern was to shoot the ball, clear the glass, and not turn it over. So I normally led us in defensive rebounding. I normally led us in 3-point shooting, and I normally led us in turnover percentage. I was always taking care of the ball. I was always clearing the glass, and I was always knocking down shots. Like, that was my goal. His goal right now is to clear the glass. He wants to be a 4 offensive rebound guy. Well, he had 5 the other day. He's averaging almost 7 rebounds a game. He's blocking over a shot a game. I mean, stocks wise, he's 2.2. If you're above a 2 in stocks, you're probably a above average, if not very good defender. We've got like 4 guys on the roster that's got that going for him right now, and a few that are really knocking on the door. So, in my opinion, I think he's better at what his job than I ever was. I don't think one-on-one against me, I'm just a bad matchup for him.
That's
So,
fair. That's fair. On that note, the front court dynamic, it's near and dear to your heart right now, obviously, because it does directly impact your brother, but there is a lot of space here. You mentioned that this is the best front court in college basketball. Jaden Acquaintance agreed with me today. We talked about that exact same thing. That there are three capable pieces that are both complementary fits, but also different enough where you can kind of get a mixed bag with whatever you need. If you need a tough rebound, if you need athleticism, if you need defense, if you need scoring, there's a little bit of everything that you can feel pretty darn good about it. But how does the rotation sort out? How do you, if you're Mark Pope, you now have 3 capable, burger boys, sort that out?
you look at matchups, like, obviously JQ's your horse based on an NBA scale, but until he's, fully ready in his mind, he's fully ready right now. Like, it's time for me to go, but what you see on the court and what you see, like, I didn't see him, and now he's playing different here, but I didn't see him snatch one off the rim and take it coast to coast and dunk on somebody. Like, he's still, that pop is coming back. Like, he's dunking the ball because he's 6'11" and long right now. I mean, when his pop comes back, what are we going to say? Like, he's got it. He didn't get a clean one, but if he gets a clean one, watch out, man. I mean, but he's your horse based on NBA standards. And I think he's your defensive stalwart. I think he's got switchability and he's an elite rim protecting threat. Now you move to Malachi. Malachi, he's your freshman. He's your biggest guy. 7 foot, 7'1", 260. I mean, he's your biggest. He's your best passing big, based on what I've seen. Yes, that is a little biased, but I think a lot of his post touches end up being passes. I think he waits till the shot clock's at 4 seconds after catching at 13 to start dribbling the score. Like he waits forever. But I think naturally he's just a great passing big. And then, rebounding wise, rim protection wise, I think he's really starting to turn the corner. And I've talked to him about this plenty of times. I think he's got to learn to compete and get more out of area rebounds. But his shot blocking ability, I think what takes that to the next level is what he did against Zuby the other day. It's the being the help defender. You have to come over and get one. You have to come over and wipe one off the glass. And then you move to Garrison. And I've told you, Jack, I told you I was going to say it. I'm a huge fan because I think he serves a massive purpose. I think he's got this edge about him. He's got this energy about him. I mean, Indiana, you look at the dunk, you look at the pro hop down the middle, you look at the lefty jump hook. I mean, look at St. John's. You look at that first offensive rebound, he snatched out of somebody's hand, lays it back in. He's guarding the ball screen. I mean, he's extremely long. Oh, let's throw the pocket pass. Nope. Swipe, steal. Like, he has really good instincts. And as I've said 100 times, sometimes you just got to let the horse run. Like, sometimes you just got to let him be. And he'll figure it out. Like, Garrison is really good when he's just in the flow of things. But as soon as it stops and he starts running, and has to start thinking again, it's like, all right, now I've got to be something. Instead of just being me, I've got to be something. I got to be a play initiator, or I've got to be I've got to build a wall, late shot clock, and be a primary stopper here. Like, when Garrison's just playing, he's awesome. And I think he's had so many moments this year that people have started to really try to crush him on that I don't necessarily think is warranted. I think it's frustrating as a fan. I think it's frustrating as a coach. I think it's frustrating as a teammate when he does – something that you're like, but they've all had that at some point this year. And I think we've all looked at all of them and been like, Garrison's ceiling is so high for this team because I just think he's got an edge that a lot of people just don't have. I think him, Mo, Cam, I think those guys have that chip where it's like, honestly, basketball don't even matter at this point. Like, when somebody's want to try me, not only am I about to whoop you, but I'm about to bust you. Like, I'm about to score on you. You're not going to score on me. I'm about to out-tough you. I'm about to bump you. I mean, Cam Williams was chucking the roll harder than anybody I've ever seen against St. John's. And he's looking down at dudes. He's letting them know, like, this is what you get coming in here. Like, this is waiting for you. And then we can talk about it after. Cam not going to back down from nothing. It doesn't take much. Like, I think he is that guy that's like, he's like Bill Laimbeer. He's like Rick Mahorn. He's like that type of guy that can wear the black hat and say, this is what I want to be. But I think he's got so much ability that he's just tapping into that. Like, I've always been a huge fan of what he does. I'm a huge fan of the entire front court. Obviously, my brother is my favorite player, but just the group we have. And we're not even talking about Andrea Jelovich. I mean, you're looking at a totally different look there that he's pushing guys to see something different. Like, they're going to see Andrea Jelovich type guys in league play, that can stretch the floor, that can deck it, that just play a little different. They're going to see that. We have all this talent in one room, and I think our front court screams, use me. Like, let me be the anchor. Let me be, the face of Kentucky basketball 2025, 26. We have the preseason SC player of the year. We have preseason all ACC guards. Like, we have all the pieces in the backcourt to complement what we've got going on. I think the front court has to embody, like, man, this is what I want to be. Like, I want this team to run through me. I want the responsibility of this team. I want all that. So I don't know. I think our front court has got it completely. And I think all three of them serve massive purposes. So I think it's as needed. There's going to come a day where JQ needs 25 minutes. There's going to come a day where Malachi may need 20 minutes. There's going to come a day where Garrison may need 20 minutes as well. Like, we just have to use them when they're humming, when they're cooking. And we've had a lot of success with two big lineups. So that leaves a lot of space for them to all three be happy, but to be complementary of one another in different ways.
Why is AJ stacking DNPs right now then? Like, what? I agree. I've been kind of banging that drum for a long time. I love Yelovich. I think that there is a space for him to be a very, very good player on this Kentucky basketball team, especially next to a Malachi, especially next to a JQ. And there are complementary fits, and I think the time will come. But that one has been odd to me. Has that been odd to you?
Yeah, a little. Just because I think he's so different than everybody else we have in the front court. I mean, 6'11", long. He's got a chip on his shoulder, and I think the adjustment to just the American style of play has been very different for him. I think he's hung his hat on being a pretty good spacer as a 5 and as a stretch 4, and he hasn't shot it amazing. But that being said, I mean, how many games has he played where J-Lowe is getting paint touches and kicking it out to him? How many games has he been able to shoot comfortable uncontested threes in the trail spot or running on the wing with the guards? I mean, there's been a couple in transition. Like the ones he's hit, he's been open and in transition. On that left wing. He loves that left wing. And two, I think he was starting to turn the corner as far as rebounding the ball goes. Like, I think he's tough enough to play in the SEC. I think there's going to come a time, like you said, the time is going to come where he's needed and he's a necessary fix to our problem that day. And I think he's going to run with the opportunity. I think tomorrow, the Karasinski guy you see, he's about 6'8". I mean, that's what you envision Yelovich could be when he's really humming. I mean, decking it, shooting the three, competing on the glass. I mean, I think it's all there. I just think another sense of a rich person's problem. I've got too much resource and not enough space for it. And I think you have to pick and choose your battles. I think you have to let practice determine what you're doing. I'm not in practice every day, so I don't know what it looks like. I don't know if he's busting somebody. I don't know if he's getting busted. I don't know if it's a habit they're trying to break for him. I mean, I don't know the answer. I just know that Yelovich has the ability, has the toughness, and has the wherewithal to be able to be what Kentucky needs long term. I think you don't get brought here if you don't have a purpose. Mark Pope is about purpose. He's about believing in, not only your sense of self, but the jersey you got put on. I think everybody on that team serves a purpose. And I think everybody has a purpose on the team to build up the idea that Kentucky not only is a special place, but it's for special people. And I think Yelovich brings that. I think every guy on the roster brings that. I think it's just a matter of time. Like I said, we look at Vandy, you look at Tyler Nickel. Maybe the only guy that can stay in front of Tyler Nickel is Andrea Yelovich, and we throw him in with 10 to go at Vandy and Memorial Coliseum, and we get one, just because he's used to guarding people like him. Just an example. But that's me being, I can do the speculation all day.
A lot of people in the comments giving you props for Mayhorn, Lambeer, Reggie White, all the people that were born before you. A lot of history buffs. We're getting JQ comparisons in the chat to Shaq and Chris Webber.
I love the Chris Webber one. Actually, I really do. I think Chris Webber's a great one, just because. I mean, Chris Webber used to grab it off the rim and go. I mean, when he was shaved bald at Michigan. I mean, you look at the offensive rebound that he dunked over Ian Jackson. I'm pretty sure that same dunk happens when they're playing Duke as freshmen, the Fab Five in Michigan in the Chrysler Dome. I think that same dunk off of same offensive rebound happened just like that. I mean, they're both extremely long, extremely big, and just just natural ability. I think Chris Webber is a perfect representation. Although I think that JQ is mentally more prepared for the light than Chris Webber was. I think Chris Webber, once he got to the NBA, was super talented, and then just off the court distractions got to him. I don't think JQ's that way. He's so, I mean, him and Malachi go to church together. Him and Malachi
Do
hang
they
out.
really?
Like they've went to church together a
Wow,
few times.
that's
Like that's just what he is. Like, and I'm not saying that Chris Webber don't go to church. Like, no, I don't want this to get out that.
I
But
get what
he's
you're
just
saying.
he's so reserved and he's so to himself. He keeps to himself. Like he's always got the basketball. He's always walking around in slides. He's always dribbling. I mean, you look at him in warm-ups.
He left media today, and as I was walking up to my car, he's walking through the parking lot with a book in his hands, reading a book, walking through the parking lot. I'm like, bless
Like the
your
kid
heart.
just like he cares about the right things. Like he's so like he's enamored with basketball, and it seems like his family has done such a great job, keeping him focused on the main things. And I think that like those are the type of people that you look for to come to your program. It just so happens that he is the youngest sophomore in the country, and he is an elite level athlete.
Best Kentucky defender since blank.
Best Kentucky defender since. That's tough. I mean, Hagens was really good early on. I mean, it may be best Kentucky defender since Willie. I mean, really, I think that's what because Willie was good, and he may even be better than Willie. So, but it's just going that far. Everybody wants to say,
Is it AD?
yeah,
Is
everybody
it
wants to say that, but you look at AD was almost 5 blocks a game. AD was super special, but what AD hung his hat on was, I mean, dudes guarded so hard on his team. They got up under dudes and they were forced to take tough shots at the rim. That was 13 years ago, almost 14, at a time where dudes weren't relying on three ball. Like Deron Lamb was a hero, for scoring 22 in the national championship, hitting the threes that he did, the big shots. Like that was when the 3-point shot just started to get like really kind of, focused on in an offense in college ball. Because Steph was just starting to emerge as a true perimeter threat. That was still like Ray Allen was still the guy at that time. And there was snipers, there was specialists, but not everybody was shooting the three. So a lot of people were trying to put pressure on the rim. In today's game, Anthony Davis still alters as many shots, but he's not getting as many people challenging him at the rim. I mean, he blocked more than half the teams in America that year. I mean, it was unbelievable. So you look at that, like JQ is as good of he blocks shots with both hands. Like I think that is an underrated piece of his shot blocking ability. Like not everything is getting, swiped with his right hand. Like he's getting them with his left, he's getting them with his right. He is turning over either shoulder. He's sliding, he's jumping out of a defensive slide. I mean, those things you cannot teach. Like those are natural instinct. But I think when you look at Willie was so good in the switchability. Willie was so good, guarding guards, but he was also so good as a help defender. I mean, looking at him in the TBT, he looks the same, just obviously not the same pop, but I mean, just the length, still runs like a gazelle. I mean, that's what JQ is. I think if JQ continues on this trajectory, I think if Willie and AD had a son, like it would look just like him.
in Nerlens? Like Nerlens had a lot of that. The timing was just
People forget
unbelievable.
it's because he got hurt and his team struggled, but Nerlens was unbelievable. Honestly, Cal even said he was a better shot blocker coming out than Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is just like, he's a guy that like no matter what happens, he was going to block 4 shots. There may be 4 layups taken at the rim all game, and they're all going to be white. Or there may be 40, but he's still going to block 5 or 6 of them. Like, it's just what it was. Like Nerlens that was him. Anthony Davis had offensive potential. Nerlens was an elite rim threat on both ends. Let me block some shots. Let me dunk some balls. And he was developing his jumper, but everybody knew that his whole MO was about wiping stuff. So
I I think JQ can be better than all of them. I do. Like I think he has Bam to his game. I think he has AD to his game. I think he has Nerlens to his game. He is a love child of all of the best traits of all of them. You don't get a Zuby Ejiofor Big East Player of the Year as really, 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 really good big nationally and within his own conference and have him shook when Jaden enters the game and it's like that LeBron at the free throw line with Kawhi checking in going.
Yeah.
Same exact thing. Zuby was in hell. I mean, he was seeing ghosts. And that was the rawest, incomplete version of JQ we will see all season. The timeline is shorter, so we won't get as much of him. So it might not translate to, in one season production in terms of the all-time block lists and all that stuff. But I think he will finish as a National Defensive Player of the Year talent. I don't know if he'll have the availability to match what it takes to do that. I hope so, because I think he will be deserving of it. But I think we will be looking back in 10, 15 years and saying that he is going to be one of the greatest bigs to come through Kentucky basketball. I think he's that type of talent. I do.
Yeah, and I think what makes him so special is you look at him like it sounds so crazy. Like he's 18 years old, playing his second year of college basketball, nowhere near polished yet. Like he's the type of big that you just like, did he just try that? Like he's still in that trial stage of like, yeah, I'm about to do a spin windmill if I can. Like I'm gonna try it. I mean, if you look at his clips at Arizona State last year, it's like every one of them incrementally, you're like, he's still trying stuff and it's working. It's like that just might be his game. And those dudes are the scariest because it's like he's trying to just play ball and just hoop. He's not trying to be someone or something. Like he's just playing based off reading and reacting. And I think that that's the most special but scary thing about him is like we have no idea what he's actually going to look like. Like he won't be able to legally drink alcohol for another 2 years and 8 months. Like
that is sickening.
like he's almost going to be able to negotiate his second deal in the NBA before he can legally drink alcohol. Like not that alcohol should ever be a focal point in his life or anybody's life for that matter, but
the premise.
That's just unbelievable to think about to me. I mean, everybody wants to talk about Cooper Flagg being able to be so young yet make so much. Like JQ is still in college and he is younger than Cooper Flagg. Cooper Flagg turned 19 either today or yesterday. Like JQ is a whole 10 months younger than the potential rookie of the year. Like we're talking about a kid who has no idea how high the ceiling is. Like that the ceiling, he still may not even be able to see it yet, and that's what to me is so cool.
It's special, very, very special talent. Let's wrap up with this. Let's announce the best starting five. I like this question. And you have to put on your most unbiased hat because I know you would probably try to start Malachi 1 through 5.
So the best starting five. I don't want to take some bullets for this, and I don't want Malachi to take some bullets for this either, but putting on my objective glasses, obviously I think your lead guard is J-Lowe. I think that's agreed upon. I mean, would you say the same? I mean, it's
100%.
Yeah.
Not even a single debate.
No doubt in my mind. I think your two, I think Chandler was steady for us early. And I think he still has a chance to be steady for us. And I really like the different look he brings us because it's like with Lowe, I think it opens his game up more. he doesn't have to come off as many ball screens. He can come off the zoom and shoot the ball more. Or J-Lowe can come off of a ball screen and hook past the Colin. He's getting a cleaner look. That being said, I think you have to shift bigger at this point in the year, especially going into SEC. And I think, as the rotation begins to shrink, I think you have to look at Owe at the 2.
Ooh, okay.
I think you have to look at Owe at the 2 because I think Ortega has 2 guard written all over him. I think he's, been playing a little bit out of position because we've had to go smaller. But just looking at, and this is a situational basis, but just looking at Florida, do we really want Ortega or Colin to guard Tommy Howard to start the game? I wouldn't want that personally. I'm not saying he can't, but as aggressive as Thomas Houck has been to start the year, I mean, he's playing himself into the lottery, and he's 6'9", 220, shooting the ball at a high clip, but he puts a lot of pressure on the bucket. I think when you look at the SEC, I think it just serves a better purpose. I think Ortega gets, good crack at LeBaron Philon in a couple weeks. Like, I think there's your ideal matchup. I think your 3, I think that can shift. I think there's going to come a day where Colin Chandler and Ortega and J-Lowe all need to start. But there may even come a day where Denzel Aberdeen needs to slide in there too. I mean, we have 8 or 9 starters on this roster. So let me go ahead and, preface everything with that. But where I'm at, so let's move on to the 3. Cam Williams is probably our most viable option. I think his ability to space the floor at Tulane is what we all expected him to come do here. And now we're going to have a complete roster that Mark Pope carefully constructed with the idea that Cam Williams was going to be that too. I think he is our guy at the 3. Defensively can guard probably 1 through 5. We don't want to switch him onto the 5, but if we need to, I feel fine with him because his length is unreal. He's a great athlete, and he competes on the glass. I'm not saying he's going to pull down 7, 8 a game, but if it comes down to him and a big, he's either going to tap it out or that big's not touching the ball. Like, he competes. Your 4, it can go a multitude of ways. I think it's matchup based, but I think based on what we have right now, Mo Diabate's got to be the 4. And I know I said go big, but I think he plays 6'10". He plays that sort of role. I played against him when I was in college. He was a freshman, and it was so that front court that year. We went to Bama, got thraxed. It was awful, but it was Grant Nelson. It was Cliff. No, it wasn't Cliff Omori. No, it was Cliff Omori. It was no, sorry, it was not him. It was Mohamed Wagwe. That's at Oklahoma. It was Mo. It was Jaron Stevenson at North Carolina. So, and Sam Walters, who is now at SMU, if I'm not mistaken. So 5 different guys, 6'7" and above, Mo was the most aggressive on the glass. He was relentless. Every time he crashed, he had a hand on a ball. He was bumping people out of the way. Like, he just has this tenacity about him that I've always admired. And I'll put this on record. Like, I think he was in our portal class. I think he was the guy I wanted to come here the most, because I don't think you get guys like him everywhere. I think he's just a junkyard dog. He's got this mentality that, like, nobody's going to outwork me for this ball. Nobody's going to outwork me at the rim. I just think that he's just got a toughness that can bleed into others. I think him and Malachi's relationship has really evolved, because of that. I think that they get along because he's been able to help instill a little bit more toughness into him. I know I'm being long-winded, but the 5, I love Malachi to death. I think he's been very serviceable. I don't think he's necessarily done anything to relinquish it. I just think if you have a chance to drive, a Lexus ES, or you have a chance to drive a Maserati, that's great. But then an Aston Martin or a Lambo comes and pulls up next to you, and you're like, I would really like that car too. Like, I would really, really like that. You know, you get a chance to have Jaden Quaintance come in, and now you're putting honestly less pressure on the both of them because you have a true starting five on the roster who is already there, cemented himself. You've had Garrison who has starting minutes and starting experience, but now you've got, like I said, you've got the Aston Martin. So you've got a Ferrari, and take your pick, right? You've got your Ferrari, you've got your Aston Martin, you've got your Maserati, you've got your Porsche, whatever you want it to be, whatever you want to call it. Everybody that out there's a car buff. I think JQ has to be your guy. In a perfect world, I think really you could start any three of them, but I think JQ probably is your guy. So to recap all of that, I know we probably forgot where I started, but J-Lowe, Owe, Williams, Diabate, Quaintance. And I think that is your best lineup because it allows for so much switchability. You still have Lowe and Williams can shoot the ball. You allow Ortega to take some pressure off himself to be the two-way superstar we envision him to be. And we have a chance to put a lot of pressure on the backboard because we have probably two of the best offensive rebounders in the country in the starting lineup, plus a third who can be extremely good. And then you have your SEC Player of the Year guard who's putting a lot of pressure on the rim as well. So he's going to be in the mix. I just think it gives us the most defensive ability. I think it gives us the best offensive chance with that good of a defensive lineup.
I mostly agree with you, but I think you still have to give Aberdeen a shot to play his natural position before trying something else, in my opinion. I think Aberdeen playing out of position for as long as he has, I just don't think the transition has gone well for him. And I think our judgment is clouded a little bit about just the Aberdeen experience because he's kind of had to wear too many different hats. And it's not playing the role that he was designed to play when he was handpicked for this roster. So I want to see more of him next to Lowe to see how they complement one another, because it was my understanding that they did look very, very good next to one another throughout the summer and you know when they were both on the floor together. So I want to see those two together first, and then Ortega at the 3, Mo at the 4, and JQ at the 5. But I will hear that argument wholeheartedly because I also think Cam deserves time on the floor. Cam is a difference maker, and if he's making shots, I mean, it changes the whole trajectory of the season because he steps into the Kobe Brea role, the hey, we need a go-to sniper, but he also is such a game changer defensively, and he makes the right. I mean, he's physically gifted. He's long. He's athletic. He blocks shots. He's a player, and he might, in my opinion, even potentially trade out for Mo at some point of the season as well. So yeah.
Right. We have, like I said, 8 or 9 starters. I think Aberdeen's in that group. I think Moreno's in that group. I think Collins in that group. Like, I think we have guys that it's just matchup based. You know, we're going to see some lineups this year. Like, we're going to go to Vandy, and Vandy's going to come here. The Vandy's bigs are 6'8". I mean, Jalen Washington is 6'10". Really good player, transfer from North Carolina. You know, floor spacer, very long. But you look at their front court, it's Tyler Nickel is a formidable piece of that. You've got Gabe, whatever his name is it McLaughlin? Is that how you say it? I think. I don't want to butcher it too bad. He wears number 99 though. He's a very, very solid, in my opinion. But I think Devin McLaughlin.
Yeah, that's who I asked about the $22 million roster at SEC Media Days, and he did not like that question.
I think when you look at their front court, they're not huge. They're not warranting us to play 7-footers, you know, for extensive minutes. That doesn't mean we won't play our 7-footers. That just means it's going to look different. So, you know, Tyler Tanner, Duke Miles, like those dudes are going to warrant us playing Aberdeen for 29 minutes. It's going to warrant us playing Chandler for 27 minutes. It's going to warrant Ortega playing 34. It's going to warrant, you know, something like that. We go to Bama. LeBaron Philon is going to take a lot of attention. We're going to have to put a lot of focus on him. Like, we really, really have to look at this from a matchup perspective. And like you said, you have to let guys play their way out of a role, but having so many options to go with, it may look good for us to put, Colin Chandler on Duke Miles with the length and see what happens. It may look really good for us to put JQ on a JP Estrella and a Garrison on a Felix Okpara just to see
Yeah.
what happens. It may look really, really good for us to go huge against Florida and play Mo and JQ and Malachi to guard Tommy Houck, Micah Hanlopton, and Ruben Chinyalu. We may have to do that, but I think that's what matters. Most importantly is we have the resources, we have the guys that can step up and say, well, you have a this and I have a this. It's like when Anthony Edwards said, they got KD, but we got Jaden McDaniels. Like, everybody's like, well, what are you talking about, KD and Jaden? Like, no, like, we've got an answer, and it may not sound glamorous. We've got LeBaron Philon. Well, we've got Denzel Aberdeen. Like, and I feel very confident saying that. I think he guards his butt off. I think he was on a national championship team for a reason. He made big shots in the big game. He started when Walter Clayton sat down. Like, we have all these answers. We have all these people. We just got to use them to our strengths.
Well, you got some fans, Mike. Well, you got lots of fans. Comments are thoroughly enjoying the Mike Moreno experience. So you're coming for my job, bro. I hope.
Well, no, I appreciate
it.
you letting me be long-winded on here and letting me give my takes, because I'm at the end of the day, I'm a fan of this. I'm a fan of Kentucky. I'm a fan of basketball. Obviously, I have vested interest in the program with my brother, but all those guys, I know how much they mean to Malachi. I know how well they treat him, and that's what matters to me as a big brother. But as a fan, I know that they want to win. I know that they care. I know that they have, the people skills for one another, and for knowing that, like, they're not shying away from, BBN being critical. They're not shying away from that. Like, when we were struggling, Ortega's sitting in the media taking it. He's got 20 cameras in his face, lights in his face, and he's as steady as he normally is when he talks. He's real calm, real stoic, and he's giving answers. But they're not being, like, so PR trained that it's concerning. Like, they have no authenticity to them. Like, they're honest, and they're people, and they're showing that. I think we've got to, like I said, I think Pope has built this place to be a special place, but for special people. And I think this group of people is comparable to last year's group of people. I think we just fell in love because these guys cared so much about the platform they were on. This was 7 seniors, I think, 6 seniors, what they had. Mm-hmm. And they all were like, this is my last chance to do this. And they have all prospered since. All the seniors have prospered. Ortega comes in. Look at him now. I mean, preseason SEC Player of the Year on a group where, is he going to be an impact guy or not? Like, this is a chance for guys to beat the odds. I think this is a message to all of them, having the ability to beat the odds that are in front of them. We've had some struggles early. We hit rock bottom. We've had time to reflect. And I think now it's like, here we are, take us as we are, and I think this group has got so much potential and so much good basketball ahead of them.
Well, I am very excited to be along for the process. I'm glad that we can kind of just move past just the ugliness of November and early December, and now we can enjoy the Christmas. Everybody's more festive and jolly, and it's life is good in Lexington. Finally, it took a minute, but all it takes is, hey, get the full puzzle. As you said, you got your big pieces back. Everybody brings up the $22 million roster, but you're missing some good investment of that roster for a lot of it. So to see it all together has been very heartwarming, and I did enjoy that St. John's game quite a bit. Glad to eat some crow about the roster construction and some of those concerns, and hopefully continues as SEC play rolls around. Give me a final score prediction for tomorrow before we get out of here. Kentucky Bellarmine.
Final score prediction: Kentucky Bellarmine. I'm gonna say Cats. I'm gonna say Cats 104, Bellarmine 62.
Ooh, I like this. Like the cover. Yeah, yeah. I'm going. Let's have fun. Let's go 110. 110 to 65. 110
That's
65. I
that
like that
sounds
one.
like giving credit to where it's due, but that sounds like what Michigan's been doing to people lately, and
Bro.
it's not a bad standard to be a part of. I think we have to start, for lack of a better term, we have to start laying the wood to people. Like we have to, put them out. We have to take their hope away, and the only way we do that is we have to not only impose our will against SEC competition, but against this team. So I think we have to put ourselves in position to control the narrative, control the game, and try our best to put together 40 minutes. Because if we do that, I mean, Bellarmine may struggle to score. So, I'm hopeful that, guys, it's a 1 o'clock game. It's right before Christmas. Be where your feet are, be in the moment, embrace, because as coach says all the time, like Rupp Arena is a special place. Anybody who's ever watched a game there knows it's a special place. You only get so many chances to play in there. Play in there. Like you only get to be a Kentucky Wildcat for so long. Like be here. It's the 23rd. Like Christmas is a special holiday, but I promise you that break goes a lot quicker if you don't play the way you're supposed to, because all you can think about is how bad it's going to be when you get back. And with that long break, you have a massive test ahead of you. So don't think about that. Think about where you are. Take care of this business, because this business will take care of the next.
Well said. Well said. You're coming for my job, and we will be having you back on at some point. Well, we'll adding you to the rotation if you're open to it. So we appreciate it,
Anytime,
man.
brother. Anytime. I had a blast. Thank you so much for having me, Jack.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun, man. So for Jack Pilgrim, make sure you go subscribe to KSR Plus. A lot of fun stuff. Got a lot of good intel coming over there. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at Jack Pilgrim KSR. Make sure you're subscribed right here on the KSR YouTube channel, or else Stephen Peak will get fired. So make sure he's able to keep his job and get all the good video content. Comment, like this video before you wrap up. And Mike, where can fans find your work?
Fans can find me on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. They can find me anywhere. Holler at me anytime. I'm just a big brother of a proud big brother of a Wildcat. That's all I am at the end of the day. So you can find me on all those, all socials. And then shout out to Jam Sports, my employer. Shout out to Jam Sports always. So
We love to hear it. All right, for Jack, for Mike, and for Steven behind the camera, we appreciate each and every one of you. Hopefully you guys have a great Christmas holiday, get a win tomorrow, and then hope everybody enjoys some good quality time. It's good little reset, good little regroup, and then we'll be back at it for the SEC schedule. A lot ahead. We are looking forward to every single second of it, and we will be there for every single second of it. So we will see you then. Go Cats.